Welcome to Trout Talk right here at Saga 960 AM, your one-stop home for all Brampton Steelhead stuff. My name is Mike Karafilidis, your voice on the road for the Steelheads, and Brendan Lang, voice at home, does it all. My man, Brendan, as usual, how are we doing?
No, I'm doing okay, man. It's been a ride watching the Blue Jays. It's over now. They couldn't end up winning the championship. Pretty much as close as you could possibly be to winning it and not winning. So obviously that was a tough blow there when they lost. That was pretty devastating for the fan base. Obviously, in my life I'd never seen a World Series, so would have been cool. Obviously, wasn't meant to be. So that was a little disheartening for a little while, but
Yeah,
I'm slowly getting over it.
yeah.
One thing that's throwing me off a lot right now is at the time that we usually record this, it's pitch black outside because of the time change. That's really throwing me off. It feels like it's like 10 o'clock at night right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I
but yeah,
agree. I was thinking the same thing. That's hilarious. Yeah.
but yeah, other than that, I've just been so invested in the Blue Jays, locked in. That's really been like my whole life was on hold, waiting for that to end, and now it's over. So back into doing the winter stuff now. We got hockey on, of course. I've been watching the Raptors a little bit now that we're getting into those days. So yeah, it's just been pretty chill around here recently.
All right. Well, I've been into the Blue Jays too. And you know what? The Blue Jays had every opportunity to win that game. Bases loaded, one out. Dalton Varsho came to the plate. First, let me ask you this. When Dalton Varsho came to the plate, what were you thinking? He's going to do this or he's going to strike out?
No,
Yeah.
I was thinking he was going to do it. I mean, you just need a fly ball. That's really what you're looking for there. Obviously, he couldn't get it done. And he had a tough last two games. He didn't play extremely well hitting wise. He still ran the ball down in the outfield and made some great plays. But at the same time, it's like they wouldn't have been in that spot without him. I mean, remember the grand slam he hit against the Red Sox in the regular season? Like they wouldn't have won the division if he wasn't around. So it's like you gotta
All right.
you got to take it. I'm not a guy who like believes in like, oh, this guy's clutch and this guy's not clutch. He just didn't come through. This is how it goes sometimes.
Well, I have a different opinion on that one. When Varsho came to the plate, I know you look at the positives and what he did. And yeah, that's great, right? But he didn't really do that much in the play especially in the World Series. I mean, come on, bases loaded, 1-0. Can you not hit a fly
It's
ball?
all he needed. Yeah, yeah,
Can
I
you
know.
not hit a fly ball? And the way you swung at it, it's like right to the second baseman. Like,
Yeah,
come on, man. And you know what? Another thing too, and that forced kind of Falefa out at home.
almost safe, but yes.
Right. Kiner Falefa should have had a bigger lead.
Yeah,
Apparent,
I'm
right?
not with that. I agree with the fact that the one thing that can't happen in that situation is getting doubled off on a line drive. With the infield in, you have to have a shorter lead because if he gets a line drive at the shortstop, he's going to get picked off at third. Like that can't
Yeah.
happen. One misstep and it's a double play. Like that's the thing you have to avoid in that situation.
Yeah, I guess
So
you have. Yeah, okay.
it's so easy to look and like if he would have taken one more step on a leadoff, he would have been safe. But like, I mean, like I don't know, it's hard to do that in the moment, right? I mean that's what the play is in that situation is and it's not him doing it on his own. Like that's what teams do. Like this is stuff that's taught every year in spring training. Bases loaded, less than two out. Where are you going to be lead off wise? So yeah, again, it's easy to go back and look. He could have gotten two more steps and he would have been in there. But you could do that for literally every play, and
Somebody
and
well,
have
if
that.
somebody
So
else was up of Varsho, I think they win the game. That's my point. If
yeah,
somebody else was up of Varsho, as soon as I didn't, I think I was talking to myself. Everybody was asleep, so it was just me downstairs, right? And I go to myself, "Oh God, like, who's up next? Who's up next?" And then I see Varsho. Dalton Varsho. Oh no! And I'm telling you, man, I had my hands onto my face, and I was just looking down, right? And then I thought to myself, all right, I got to look up. I got to watch this. I'm not going to be one of those guys that like, turn away, whatever, right?
right.
So looked up, which one, whatever, pitch to, ground ball. Oh, my stomach just went
And the
right
thing
down.
and the thing with it too was that like it pretty much knocked over Miguel Rojas, who was playing second base, and he recovered within like that split second just to get him at the plate. It's I mean,
Give me a
I
break.
think to me, when not the whole series, but like when all the events started to shift for me was when it was in game 6 when Barger's ball got stuck in the wall. That seemed to be like when that happened, it just seemed like everything after that was it just wasn't meant to happen. It just wasn't meant to be. Like he gets it stuck, then he gets picked off, and the game's over. And then, and then they go to game 7 and Bichette hits the home run and you're thinking, they're actually going to do this. And then like Bassett comes in, he gives up 1 run. Savage comes in, he gives up a home run. Hoffman comes in, he gives up a home run. And it's just like, we're right back to square one. And just once that happened, it just seemed like all the close plays after that went the way of the Dodgers. And that was that was like, the way it was.
That I can't remember who hit that fly ball into the outfield.
Ernie Clement, right?
Yeah. I thought, and all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere,
runs over his left fielder,
runs over his own guy, and makes the catch. And it's exactly to what you're saying, right? To like everything started to go their way after that ridiculous ground rule double, which I've never seen, and that happened in Rogers Center, right? So I talked about it on the broadcast. You see that at Wrigley Field. You don't see that in at the Rogers Center of all the places.
I know. It was just one of those things where it just seemed like everything was going to go against them. Every close thing was going to go against them. But it's really unfortunate. Really unfortunate because I really did think they were going to win. So, that's that's a tough one, but some good news. Shane Bieber already opted back in. He'll be back. I like that. I think that's
16 million. Yeah, I'm sure he would.
That's a big
1 year,
big
man.
Do you think 1 year? I know. Yeah, I mean, he would have got way more if he opted out. So it's pretty unlikely that he was going to opt in. But I mean, he probably would have gotten 20, 22, 23 if he opted out.
So.
But
okay.
So I think he took a little less money, so that's good. I mean, he wants to be around. I think that's a good thing, and we'll see if they can get Bichette done. I think that's a big one.
I don't think he's coming back.
You don't think so? Yeah, I mean, it's fair. It's fair. I mean,
he's not coming back.
There's a lot of teams that'll be vying for his services. I think 2 teams in the AL East, in the Yankees and Red Sox, will be 2 big players in his market. So we'll see how it works out. Maybe Kyle Tucker, another name out there. Yeah, the Dodgers too. They're always going to
I'd like to see Bellinger in a Blue Jay uniform. They keep talking about Bellingers, right? So why not? Guy can hit. That guy, every time he came up to the plate, I was always scared, right? Because he can do everything.
Yeah, he kind of fits in the mold that they were trying to accomplish. He hits the ball hard, he puts it in play, doesn't strike out a ton.
Love that guy.
I don't think that would be a terrible guy to look at. Again, I think Kyle Tucker's another name that they'd probably look at, but we'll see. Really early in the offseason, so we'll see how it goes.
Exactly.
But of course, we're into hockey season now, so that's the fun.
That's right. Baseball is over finally. Actually, like to say, but it'll be back up in like 3 months?
I think what is it? 108 days. Spring training gets underway.
And already, and then we're going to see on TSN. And here they come, and here they come, trotting out the field in Dunedin. Anyway, we got so we got some hockey, of course. We'll be talking. Steelheads right now, they're in a little bit of a slump right now, and we'll talk about all of that. And we got a guest coming on, of course, and so we will talk about all of that. Actually, we'll come back with our guest right after the break. How about that? How's that sound, Brendan?
Sounds good.
All right, so we'll come back with more Trout Talk right after the break, right here in Saga 960 AM. All right, welcome back to Trout Talk right here at Saga 960 AM. Or you could be watching on YouTube. Let's bring in our special guest, and he is assistant coach of the Brampton Steelheads. I almost said Mississauga, my goodness. And there is Matt Chiarantano. Matt, thanks so much for joining us, and really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Mike, Brandon. Good to see you guys. It's been a while.
Good to see you too. It's been a while.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
No problem.
Appreciate it. So you're at the rink right now. We can see if you're not watching. He's at the rink. You can see the schedule in the back. So how have the practices been going this week? You guys have had a little bit of time off. Obviously, last week it was busy with the school day game in the middle there. So you've had a little bit of time here to kind of get things in order.
Yeah, no, had a break. Well needed, obviously. I mean, for us is right back on the horse. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a tough go last few games, but it's still early in the season. Trying to work out the kinks, get these guys ready to go, and it's a long season to say the least, especially for the young guys coming in for the first time in this league and understanding that it gets harder when those guys get sent back down and teams kind of find themselves and their identities and whatnot. So the games become a little tougher. So practices have to rise and so that they can match it. So they're ready to go for the weekend.
Matt, what made you want to get into coaching? This is your now. I got to hear this one. So I mean, I know you were a teacher and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff, and you taught in, I don't know, 5 different countries or something like that. I'm not sure. But
Yeah,
what made you want to get into it?
You know what? Honestly, always loved the game. Got into injury troubles late in my, I guess never really had a full pro season, but loved the game. Always was a student of the game. I think, growing up, I was always well into understanding the game a little bit more deeper than just playing. I just naturally gravitated towards it. What happened was essentially my wife kind of pushed me into it. I was always doing hockey on the side, and I was doing teaching. I was teaching full time. I got my master's degree, went to teachers college, and did the whole deal. And then a buddy of mine asked me, "Hey, why don't you come on the bench and help us out?" Like we just, I took over a team. You think you can help me out? And so I was hemming and hawing over for a little bit. My wife, girlfriend at the time, now wife, she's like, "Why don't you just do it? Like you love the game, you're part of it." A little bit of me was like hesitant just because, I didn't really I didn't have a career that I really loved, not that I didn't love, but, you ended it on a different note. And, moving forward, I kind of said to myself, maybe this is just a different path. So naturally came into coaching at U18, which was really interesting. It taught me a lot of what to do. And I don't know if you guys know about U18 hockey and kind of the year after the draft, and a lot of those players that typically are part of the U18 program are late round picks, mid round picks, depending, but they're usually secondary players. The superstar, so to speak, are now in the OHL or higher levels, and you're trying to find ways to get through these kids that have otherwise never been in the position that they're in now. So it was a learning opportunity for me to understand, maybe using some of my teaching background to get through these kids. And lo and behold, we went from taking a team over from last place to up to 5th. So U18 gradually went to junior A, and then junior A into the OHL as a full-time coach. So, it's been organic to say the least. A lot of the stuff that I do with our players and, just teaching is a lot of it's just background information that I've kind of gathered through in the classroom and in my teaching career.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about the experience with U18 and saying, it's usually maybe secondary guys who weren't drafted extremely high. Like, how can you kind of translate that into what you're doing now? I mean, because of course, not everybody's a star player, guys come from different backgrounds. Like, how much does that help that you've kind of seen that side of it as well?
It's been an eye opener. And I think the biggest thing, obviously, we look at the OHL as a premier league, and it definitely is. And you have all these different players from, the Martones of the world that are, top 5, top 10 picks, or you have the Finn Hardings who are, near the bottom, or you have some free agents that sign like Chaz Sharp. So you have different players from different paths and different years. And I think the biggest thing for me is to understand that, yes, it is a premier league. It's the top, junior league in the world, the CHL. And for me, it's still understanding that it's a development league. These players are not polished yet. They have so many things that they have to learn. And part of the process for our staff is to understand some of those deficiencies or things that we need to add to their games, identify those in our meetings, in our one-on-one sessions, our video sessions, whatever the case may be, and get them to work towards those goals. And I think having that in the background, understanding that I've gotten through to some of these kids that might not even have nearly the skill set as the players that I'm dealing with now, or we're dealing with now in this league, and saying, okay, they were able to do it, these guys should be able to do it. So, it's everyone has their own different learning techniques and styles. And I think it's just getting through to your players, understanding who they are and what they're about, and really pushing them to get out of their comfort zone, because I think that's where the growth is.
So you talk about styles. What is your style, Matt? What kind of a coach would you describe yourself as?
I would say, I mean, you've been by the bench now, in between the benches, so you can probably attest
Once.
to it. I think for me, it's, having a fine line between, you know, you want to have your players feel like they can make plays and, I know how it feels to grip the stick real tight. You don't want to make a mistake. And all of a sudden now you're hesitant and you're not playing instinctual. And, I never liked that as a player. And I certainly don't feel like I do that with our players. I think they're free to make the mistakes that they're supposed to make. If it's something that's reoccurring, yes, we're going to have a discussion. And sometimes you have to have a hard conversation. But for me, I think I'm understanding at the same time as fair. You're never going to have a perfect world where everyone's going to play the same amount of minutes. It's just not going to, it's not the case. You're preparing these players for pro. It's certainly not that at the NHL level, the American League level. So you have to have that in mind, but at the same time, you're understanding that, like, I want you to play free. I want you to take what we've learned throughout the course of the week, whether practice, individual sessions, morning ice, whatever it is, and apply it. And you're going to have bumps along the road, and I'm here to help you. And we're going to work towards it together, essentially. So I would say I'm a pretty understanding coach, but at the same time, I think the players can attest that I will get a little testy every now and then when needed.
I know I've seen that. I was like, I said, I'll say this again and again and again. If you're a student and you're in Matt Chiarantano's class, like, I'm just listening to this and, like, you know what? He's like a first class teacher. Like, he'd be one of my, I'm not kissing your butt or anything, but actually be serious about this. But you can tell you got that teaching background in you, and watching you in behind the bench for that one time, you're always teaching. And
Yeah.
that's just amazing what you do.
I appreciate
And,
that, Mike.
yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely.
I think there's really no excuse anymore. Like I think I'm not dating myself too much, hopefully, but like the technology and the advancement that these players have now is incredible. Like the fact that we have, iPads on the bench, you have surround like full coverage of the ice consistently, right? You can see everything at all times. I remember wanting to go to college when I was in university, and hey, coach, can we watch film? It was like, throw the DVD in, like it was
That's
like,
it.
and trying to fast forward, and it was a little different. And now they have the ability to have their shifts right at their fingertips right away. So I think as a younger coach myself, understanding that some of the technology that we have at our disposal, I think we would be silly not to use every single thing that we can possibly use to get through these kids. And part of that process and using those technology and those ways of learning is like, you're finding who those players are and how they can adapt, and every player is different. So, part of the process is like going through it and using visual, using audio, like auditory. Sometimes I show it in morning skates or whatever. So it's different ways of different learning levels. So it's been interesting for sure now that we have a younger team as opposed to an older team last year with a little bit more established players in the league. So we're going back to the grassroots and teaching these players, how to play the game so that they're going to be prepared not only for this year, but the years to come.
And something you've mentioned a few times is kind of like not everybody learns the same way. And like, there's different sort of ways to go about it. Like some guys, maybe they want you to get on them a little more. Some guys need a little more reassurance, like that kind of stuff. How do you kind of go about figuring out sort of each guy? Is that like knowing him away off the ice, like that kind of stuff? Just what goes into that process?
Yeah, I think attention to detail. I think as an assistant coach, you have a little bit more of you're kind of the mediator between, the head coach and GM, obviously JR, and he does a fabulous job at making sure like these are the standards, these are the things that we really want to focus on. And as an assistant coach, you have a little bit more. They're not looking at you like, oh man, like, they're worried when they're going to his office as opposed to mine. So I honestly take advantage of that a little bit in the sense of just being a younger guy, not being that far away from, removed from the game. And just kind of figuring out how they are and understanding that just because they strap on a pair of skates and a helmet and gloves, they're a different person. They're still the same person, just with equipment on. So you have to understand some of the players, and you have to be patient with them too. I think there's a fine line between patience and and you have to understand that as an assistant coach. And I think moving always into this role as an assistant and, being under someone's wing, I think you have to figure out what's best for you and your style. I think if you're too lenient, it'll work against you. If you're too hard, then you're no different than the head coach. So you have to find your lane and be a chameleon. And sometimes you have to read the room. And what I mean by that is sometimes you need to figure out what the team needs at that given time. Sometimes you have to have a pulse on it. And I think not only me, but the rest of the staff have a good sense of what's going on.
All right, I'm looking at your playing career here, Matt. And okay, you played in the OJ for the Orangeville Crushers, for the Aurora Tigers, for Georgetown Raiders. Then you played at Niagara University, then the Brampton Beasts. Then you played for a team. Never heard of this team in my life. I have to ask you about this. I think you know where this is going.
Yeah, Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs.
Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. And the SP, is that Saskatchewan?
No, that's the Southern Professional Hockey League. So that's down in Virginia. So it was an interesting story there. I was first-year guy, signed out of college in the East Coast League, went to Reading, got picked up by Brampton. So I played in Brampton. But by that time, the East Coast, sometimes as a first-year player, you don't get a lot of playing time and whatnot. So went through some injury trouble, whatnot, and I had a couple of buddies of mine that were on an expansion team down in Virginia, and they said, why don't you come get some games in, play a little bit, and we'll kind of see where it goes. So I ended up going down there to play with some of my friends that I was never really fortunate enough to play with growing up. So 3 or 4 of my buddies and I met some other guys down the road there. So it was an interesting few months that I went down there. I think I didn't really have too much expectations. I just kind of wanted to go see what it was about, hang out with my friends and play some hockey. So it wasn't much of I only played 8 games there. And it was nice because I was hurt when I stopped playing. And one of the head coach, who was Sam Fatorik, which is Robbie Fatorik. Yeah, his son.
Okay.
He was really pushing me. Like, hey, why don't you get on the bench? Like you're seeing a lot of good stuff. Like, can you help out? And I said, listen, like I appreciate that, but I don't feel comfortable doing that as a first year player. And there's some other players that are much older than I am, and I help no matter what with whatever you need, but I just don't feel comfortable. So I think the writing was on the wall that maybe I'd be into coaching. I just never realized it at the time, but it was fun. It was a nice experience. It was a good experience, meeting some new people from around the world in different walks of life. So you never know where the game takes you, I think is the moral of the story.
And of course, you also played 4 years at Niagara University as well in NCAA. How did that kind of come about, and what was your experience like playing in the NCAA?
Yeah, I was, it was good. I think, like I said, I think everything happens for a reason. I think going to Niagara University, getting into a good school that's teacher oriented, teacher based, I think allowed me the opportunity where I am today. So it was a great experience, great 4 years. I met a lot of good people, getting recruited, going through the whole process of D1. It's nice because now obviously the rule changes with the CHL and the NCAA. So very, very familiar in how it works. And obviously the new landscape of kind of what is reality now. And it's really nice knowing that path, and now coaching at the other, and if there's 2 ways, you have the NCAA and the OHL or the CHL, and having to experience both in different capacities allows me to kind of really understand the game in a kind of a wholehearted full circle. So it's nice that some of the players, now that they're getting recruited by schools, they're asking me and Jake Wood and James Richmond, all three of us played D1, which is interesting. So it's nice to be a soundboard for some of these players that are going through it. I think it was an exciting time for me during the time of getting recruited and going through the process of going through schools and tours and whatnot. It's an exciting time, and I think it was a great experience.
So we're gonna get to know you a little bit now. Like, I mean, you got all the credentials. You got a great, in my opinion, you have a great future in this league. So now we're going to get to know you a little bit better. So now I know that you're a big Sopranos fan. I
Yeah.
know that you're a big Sopranos fan, right? So who's your favorite Soprano? Who's your favorite on the Sopranos? I think I know where this is going.
Um,
I think. Maybe.
it's interesting because every character has their own little part of the show, and you know this. You know, you have Walnuts is always the great. Like he's classic, and then you know you obviously have Tony and everyone else. I think if I could boil it down, I think Tony would be probably the number one character. The reason is he's got to play so many different hats, and he's a leader. He's in a leader role, and I think, you know, you try to emulate a little bit about that of understanding, but fairness. But then you also have to be stern and have hard conversations. So I wouldn't attest and say, you know, I'm like him, but I think you can understand when you're in a leader role, you have to appease a lot of people. You have to make sure that you're kind of playing it safe and understanding that you're not seeing just tomorrow, you're seeing a month, a year, you know, 5 years down the road, and you have a plan. So I kind of understand how that feels a little bit when you're dealing with someone, you know, younger than you, and you're trying to kind of bring them up to where they want to, where you essentially want them to be. I think
right, so it's Tony Soprano then. That's
Tony
that's
Soprano.
your guy.
Yeah, I would say it's Tony Soprano for sure.
Okay, so it's Tony Soprano. All right. For me, it's Paulie Walnuts.
Yeah, I was gonna say Paulie would be a close second. Like I think, but again, like he's always just like a secondary guy. He's too erratic, too emotional to be in a leadership role. You know, sometimes you got to be a little stoic, and you have to have some fear and some love at the same time. So that's why I think Tony wins it.
All right.
We've also heard that you're a pretty good golfer as well. JR was on here saying that you were hitting the ball well, that you guys won a scramble tournament.
We did.
And Jake Wood was just standing there.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Listen, I do love the game of golf. I don't think I put nearly enough time into it as I would like. I would like. Jake is phenomenal. JR is playing it down. He's really good too. But I'm just happy to be a part of the team. I think I'm a roll guy. You know, if you need me to hit a good drive, maybe I'll get one. Maybe I'll get a nice putt. I'm just a roll glue guy. I think that's where I stand, and I think we're a good team. I think between myself, Jake, and JR, I think we can go up against anyone in the tournament.
Yeah, well, you guys won that OHL tournament or whatever it was in the pouring rain, right? So
I know.
Who was it between? It was between you three, and who was the last trio? Just curious.
I don't remember. I honestly don't recall. Yeah, no, I don't recall. But I'm glad that we did pull it off this year. I know last year we were somewhat close, but this year we finally got over the hump.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's so awesome. I love it. I loved it. When I saw you guys won, I was like, yeah, good. I was just wondering who the last last
honestly,
it
slips my mind. I'm not too sure.
I know it's just like a blur. Like your first. Do you remember your first? You know what? Do you remember your first goal when you were a kid? Do you remember your first goal?
First goal.
Your first goal you ever scored?
Actually, you know
what?
Still
have that puck?
I got a ton of pucks actually. In my childhood home at my parents' house, but the one that always sticks out, I remember the first time I ever got a natural hat trick, and I didn't really understand what that was. I think I must have been 9 or so, and my dad goes like, "Oh, like, you know, you got a hat trick, but it's a natural hat trick." I was like, "Oh, that's great. Like, what is that?" And now, you know, and now looking back, I can remember some of those goals. One, I think I don't know how hard I hit it, but I hit it from way out there. So I think it was like a blue line goal from the point, which, you know, at the time when you're 8-9 years old, I don't think you're raising the puck all that much. It's not like you're going far down. So it's a seeing eye shot. You can see the whole way through. But you know, there's memories that kind of sporadically come into my head that I think about, and I think always relating those moments and understanding that yes, it is only a game, and you know, those are the best memories that you have. You know, going to the rink with your mom or dad and those tournament times, and all those little details. I think when as you get older and you go to university, you have those moments, but you know, you're driving yourself and you don't have tournaments anymore, so to speak, and you're going a little bit more serious hockey. So junior was the best time of my life. I know, I played in the OJ for 4 or 5 years, and it was a great experience. I got to play with some great players, and some players that are still playing now. I think it's awesome to see those guys still play. And for me, it's just like understanding those are the best times. Like thinking back, like that question to me, like you think back and you're like, wow, like to think of all the things that I've done and how many hours I put in this game, and remember like it was yesterday,
Sure,
like where it was at that moment. It's pretty special.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. I got just one more question, just about the current team now, especially with you. Of course, working with the defense mostly. There's a lot of new faces around. Like obviously from last year to this year is a lot of changes. Like how has it been kind of getting everybody integrated in there and getting everyone getting along with the system that they're all trying to be a part of?
Yeah, I think part of that is the guys that were here last year and the guys that I've been with since I've come in here, like the Parker Von Richters, the Jakob Fibbigers, Reed Gee, the guys on the back end specifically, I can lean on, and they kind of know what the standard is. They know what to expect, specifically on the back end of kind of like how it's run and what's expected of you on any given day, whether it's practice, game, or whatnot. So leaning on those guys, giving them a platform of a leadership role, understanding, hey, listen, like if you don't like something, you fully have the capability of saying, hey, this is not how we do things here. You don't have to be mean about it, but there has to be a standard that has to be set. And so I lean on those older guys now that they've kind of gone through it. With that being said, that allows me to kind of work with some of the newer players that have to get kind of up to speed to where everything is. And I think it's still, it's November 5th right now. So we have a long way to go, and we understand that it's not a finished product and that they're continuing to work. So the biggest thing for me is just kind of repeating what has been done in the past and just fine tuning it a little bit and understanding, okay, listen, like it might've worked here. Where could it have gone right or wrong? Did they understand it? And how could I be better for it? So you're always kind of tinkering with your own style and kind of how you want to teach. Up to this point, it's been good. Up front, there's a lot of new faces. So helping Jake wherever I can. I think him and JR have done a tremendous job at getting these guys up to speed. One thing for sure, if you guys have watched, is that we're a tenacious group. We our work ethic is off the charts, and as a coach, it's so nice to see that. That's what you want in any team, right? Like maybe we don't have any high profile names that we've had in the past, but when you have a group that works hard and they love coming to the rink, they want to work hard for each other and for the group. It's something that's really special, and you don't always get those teams. And I think as a coach, you really thrive for those players, because now they're meeting you halfway and you want to go above and beyond for them. So it's a good mix. I think if they continue the work ethic, which I know they will, they're going to see their game really develop and transition to a little bit more of a complete game, maybe in the later half of the year.
Last thing for me,
hopefully soon.
Oh yeah, the team work ethic is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, every time people say to me, just for example, like, how do you like watching this team? I say I love watching them because what, they work their butt off. I'd rather watch the team that works right. And
what more do you want as a coach
all the time?
And I truthfully, honestly think that work ethic. What is it? The old saying? It's like work beats skill when
100%
when skill doesn't work. So, I truly believe that, and I think if they continue doing what they're supposed to be doing and continue to develop and learn, which I have no doubt in my mind that they won't. They'll definitely, hopefully, get in the play. Obviously the goal is to get in the playoffs, but I think when you have a work ethic team like that, it fits for playoff style hockey. So it'll be really, really interesting to see this group and hopefully get some experience in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Last thing for me, there's a lot of things, some things that people don't know about you, what else you do with the team. You take care of the schooling, with the kids going to school and all that kind of stuff. There's lots of things that you do. So have you ever had a situation where a teacher's kind of pulled you aside and say, hey, can I talk to you for a sec, kind of thing. And, not sure what's going on here with Peter Green, or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So talk about that. Like you do a lot, and it's unbelievable. But
yeah, you know what, and it's a testament to not only myself, but kind of what I came into this organization. Like, there's a lot of people on the back end, the people at Philip Pocock and the other schools that we kind of deal with our players have been tremendous. Like, they've been great helps for us. So it makes my job a lot easier. Obviously, having a pulse on these players, not only on the ice, but in the classroom, I think helps. I think, being on these guys for the right reasons, right? I think, getting them to school, getting them on time, like being respectful, those are the things that are going to be carried on even after hockey. So it's sometimes we like to think that we're coaches, but I think we're a lot more. We're a lot more. We see these players, from 16 and they graduate at sometimes 20, 21. So you're kind of having that lasting imprint on these guys for a long period of time. So I think for me, having multiple roles is, again, it gives me a better idea of kind of what they're about outside just the game of hockey. And I think that allows me to be the best I can be for these guys. And we've had incidents a little bit, but they've been really good. Like, they've been positive ones. It's just like, hey,
oh, that's good.
Right. Yeah. Like, hey, so-and-so is a little bit behind. Like, can you kind of help him out? And, it's nice having that familiarity and having that ability to have those people that have been through the team even before I've been here know kind of how it works and what to expect. So those players, we have a conversation with them and quickly it changes. And I think we finished top in the league this year in success rates and in educational stuff. And it's a big part of who we are as a hockey club. And I think JR, being the leader and the head of this team, has really stamped his approval on saying, you know what, like, these guys are late, these guys are acting up in school, then, they're not going to play. And it's a standard that has been resonating in this group. And I think it's scared them a little bit to make sure that, they're doing the right things and that we mean it. And it's not because we're trying to be mean. It's because we're trying to make them better. And I think they understand that, because, like I said, I think I would have liked to think that if someone was around with when I was going through the process, I might have had some better grades in high school, and maybe I would have been in a little bit different place. But who knows? I mean, you can't look back. But I think the biggest thing for me is just understanding that I'm there to support them in every capacity, in every way, and I wear many hats. So does Jake. So does JR. So it's a team effort here.
You're pointing at Jake over there. He's right beside you, isn't he?
He just stepped out. No, he's just stepped
he's
out.
listening to the whole thing. I could already see his face. Already know it. All right.
So it's
awesome.
it's been great. So looking forward to continue to work with these guys. It's been fun.
Amazing. All right, and I want to thank you so much for coming on, and I appreciate your time. And we'll see you around the rink.
Absolutely
you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
And keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
All right, that was Matt Chiarantano, assistant coach of the Brampton Steelheads and defensive coach. And we'll come back right after the break, and we'll talk more Steelheads talk right here in Saga 960 AM. Welcome back to Trout Talk right here in Saga 960 AM. This is episode 10, not episode 3. Episode 10, season 3. Mike Karafilidis, Brendan Lang, along with you. We just had assistant coach Matt Chiarantano with us, and he's a pro. Again, he's a pro, well-spoken, and just a great coach too. Does a great job in the back end with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think it's kind of cool I've always found coaching extremely interesting, and kind of how different guys go about getting the most out of their players. And I thought that it was a really interesting conversation to have with him, talking about just what kind of coach he is and how there's different ways that guys are learning, and that you need to kind of figure that out and help in that regard. And I thought that was extremely insightful, really cool to hear what he had to say. Yeah. Also with with a lot of new players, seeing what kind of that takes to get everybody involved and leaning on the guys who have been there before. That's a huge part of it as well. And then what you asked him at the end, I think, is another really important aspect of it too. I mean, it's not just the coaching on the ice. I mean, there's so much more that goes into it behind the scenes that probably most people wouldn't think about. But there is just a lot more of that sort of coaching in life, not necessarily just on the ice. And I feel like that's such a huge aspect of what they do, especially in junior hockey when you're coaching a lot of young players. I do think that, and the way that he spoke about it, you could see that he really has the best interest of all the guys there. And I feel like that's really the biggest part of it too.
And he's well respected too, right? The guys
100%.
really respect him. And I like how he said, like, I don't want to be too lenient on him. I'm not too strict, but finding that fine line. I think that's exactly what it is with him. We've seen the way he coaches and stuff. He's really good for the young guys, and he has that experience being a teacher and whatnot, dealing with the young guys and whatnot too, right? Getting his degree in teaching. Yeah, he's just a perfect fit back there, and I think he's got a real bright future actually in this league, and maybe even higher, right? And I think he's 34, 35 years old, right? So he's still a bit, he's just started in this league. All right, so big thanks to Matt Chiarantano for coming on, and let's move on, Brendan. Let's move on to Steelheads' last couple games. Haven't been too good, I guess you could say.
Nope.
They got shut out against the Niagara Ice Dogs and shut out against the Kitchener Rangers. But there still were some bright spots in that game, I guess you could say. I guess we'll start off with the Niagara game.
Yeah, we can start off with the Niagara game for sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's always going to be some bright spots within a game, win or lose. Of course, you mentioned it 4-0 in favor of the Ice Dogs, but really, I thought that they played a lot better than the score indicated. Like, I mean, you look at the score, obviously not the result you want. I thought Yarmolenko played really well in the net for the Ice Dogs, so that's always tough when you run into a hot goalie. But I mean, the shots 30-26 in favor of Brampton. I just want to see the breakdown of periods, but yeah, like 10-7 in the first, pretty close. They led 9-8 in the second, and then 14-8 in the third. So I mean, it's like it was a pretty well-rounded game. They just had some trouble finding the back of the net right now, and I mean, you're going to go through ups and downs in a season, scoring wise, and recently just haven't been able to find a way for it to go. But I think that the play is encouraging. Obviously, you just like to see a few more goals get over the line.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It was the same kind of situation, I guess you could say, against the Kitchener Rangers. And I mean, Kitchener Rangers, we talked about this before. Like, they're an elite team.
Really good.
They're an elite team. Like, I mean, you got guys like, you got Jack Pridham over there. You got Luca Romano. You got who am I missing? Jack Pridham, Christian Humphreys, Ellis over there.
Hayden Ellis had a good year.
Hayden Ellis. I mean, they got 7 NHL draft picks in their team, right?
I mean, they're loaded. Cameron Reed on the back end.
There you go. Like, so, I mean, they played well, and they got off to that good start again. And you know what? I really thought that the Steelheads were going to get that first goal. And I think that's huge. It would have been huge, I think, maybe against the Kitchener Rangers. But again, they run into a guy who played really well in goal, Jason Schaubel, getting his first OHL career shutout. Congratulations to him, right? But it was the same thing. They worked hard, and then once it got down to 2-0, and then the goal from Lachar, and then after that, it was just kind of went downhill a little bit. But they still had their chances. DeMiglio had a chance. Sherratt still skating hard. Like, the guys are still skating hard, and they're learning, and it's young. And they're a young team. Well, they're young, but they're new.
Inexperienced. They're an inexperienced team.
And that's going to come. And that's where my point. That's where I'm getting with this. And that's where it's going to come with this Brampton Steelheads team, is that this team is going to find their way. It's early in the season. I mean, they're still locked in a playoff spot right now. Right. Nobody expected them to even be locked in a playoff spot right now. Some guys have this team not even been winning a game right now, right? So just to say, and so I think it's going to come. I really do, Brendan. I really do.
I mean, I'm with you. We just talked to Matt Chiarantano, and he was saying kind of the same thing. It's like, you know what? With an inexperienced roster, it's going to take some time to get things kind of lined up. And we've talked about it. There's kind of like 3 different years in the OHL. We've always said, their season doesn't start till after the trade deadline. All those cliches. Right. Obviously, every game matters, but when you're trying to sort of get new faces and new people into the mold that you want them to play, it's going to take a little while. And I think the early results, maybe not scoring wise, are there though. Like, I really do. I think that, like we've talked about with the effort level, with the work ethic, with the physicality, being tough to play against, I do think that's all there. They kind of have all those makings. If they could just find a little more offense, which I think is going to come just by guys playing together more. I think they're in a good spot. And I do believe, as we heard there too, from the assistant coach, saying that this is a team that kind of would thrive in that playoff hockey sort of style because of the way that they play. It's just about getting there. And I really do think this team will get there.
I totally agree. You know, guys like Matej Stankoven,
Yeah.
guys, Gabe Schrott's been doing a good job this year. Julian Demiglio got off to a hot start. They're going to need these guys, Mason Zabeski. They're going to need those Josh Avery. He got off to a hot start when he first came to Brampton from the Brantford Bulldogs. But they're going to need these guys to be more consistent. I think maybe that's the thing too.
Right.
And the young guys, we just talked about, I think they're going to find a way. I think everybody's going to find their way up front. On the back end, I don't think there's that much of a problem on the back end. It's just the goal scoring which is going to come. So this team is going to get better and better, folks. I'll tell you that right now. So,
and something else I want to throw in there too, just making sure, looking at the standings, like you said, they're still in a playoff spot right now. They're at 13 points. I mean, they're only 3 points behind North Bay for fifth, and four behind Barrie for fourth. So it's like,
they got 2 games in hand on the Barrie Colts.
I mean, exactly. Like,
there you go.
And they're 3 ahead of the team in 9th place. So it's like, there's so much that's going to happen still. I'm not saying the games don't matter early in the year. They do.
Right.
But there's still a lot of movement that could happen. So
that's the way she goes, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. And one other thing I did want to mention, Bowen with a really good outing in that game against Kitchener, coming back after the loss to Niagara. I thought he played really, really well in the game against Kitchener.
Yeah, Zach Bowen played. He had a nice game, good bounce back game.
Yeah,
and we kind of knew he was going to have that bounce back game. Him being a veteran in this league, you knew he was going to have a bounce back game. All right, so let's look ahead to the next couple games for the Steelheads. They'll be done by the time this recording is done, but it'll be against the Sarnia Sting and the Windsor Spitfires back to back. Now, the Sarnia Sting really haven't got off to a start. We'll start off with them, I guess. Really haven't got off to a start that they've wanted. But one guy that I'm looking forward to seeing is Jack Van Wolsen, former Steelhead, right? He'll be going against his former team, and the guy and the team that they got, or the player they got for him, the Steelheads, David Green, right? So he was drafted by the Sarnia Sting. So looking forward to seeing that team, the Sarnia Sting team. But your thoughts about this weekend or the 2 games coming up?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, you're playing against a Sarnia team, as you mentioned. They've gotten off to not a great start, not where they want to be. But you know what? If you're the Steelheads, you got to take advantage of that, right? Like, I mean, the Steelheads are in a tough stretch right now too. So you got to take advantage of a team that maybe isn't off to the start that maybe their expectations were, and see if you can kind of, I'm not going to say kick a team while they're down, but I mean,
sure.
You want to see if you can kind of get back in the swing of things, playing against a team that's kind of struggling here recently. And then the game after that, Windsor. I mean, that's a tough one. It's always difficult to play in Windsor anyways. And with the team that they've put together this year, it's going to be a tough game. But you know what? Again, it's just about the hard work, and see if they can put that effort forth in a back-to-back setting. And if they can, they'll have a chance for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Liam Greentree is going to be tough and whatnot.
Yeah.
I expect to see maybe Lucas Johnson get a start against the Sarnia Sting on Friday, and maybe Bowen on Saturday, right? So I know he's back from Chicago and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward with the Steelheads team. I think it's going to be positive. I really do. I really do. I think they're going to be fired up. All right, Brendan, any life tips, anything you want to say? Because I got one. Check. The only thing I'm going to say is when you go to the grocery store, check the expiry date.
That's a good one.
So I walked out with this salad, because I always buy the that special salad, like the healthy stuff. I don't buy the bird anyway. So I walked out and I saw, oh gosh, November 3rd. Nope. I went right back in there. I said, excuse me. No. What's the problem, sir? This is November 3rd. I got to go change it. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, there you go.
Then I look at the lady. I said, why you put November 3rd on here? I said, and I just kind of shook my head. And I changed it. And I grabbed the November 10th, and that's it.
There you go. That's good. I'm really bad. I'm really bad with that. I don't check anything when I'm in there. I just grab it off the shelf and go. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, just throw them in the cart. Okay, let's get out of here. I want to be in there as short a time as possible, so I'm just trying to get out once I get in.
That's good. All right, so that's going to do it for another episode of Trout Talk right here at Saga 960. Thank you so much for joining in, and we'll talk to you next time.